Hello all, welcome to Tosca Scenario Handling Series Part 8 by Technology Training Experts. Now in this video, we'll be talking about API test automation. We will start with the very basic point of how exactly API work and what are the artifacts of API and how do we do API manual testing using Tosca and how do we export or convert that into a simple test case inside test automation of Tosca. But then we will also create a follow-up part 9, on an advanced test automation framework on API. So this API is very helpful from project's perspective. These days, every single project is using these APIs, and API testing is part of our testing lifecycle. Okay, so hope this helps. And now, if you have not watched the previous parts of this series, we have attached the links in the description, and please go through them and also subscribe to our channel. Hope you will enjoy this video. Okay, now we will be talking about application programming interface API. So now initially let us talk about what is an API first of all. For the people who are absolutely new to API, this is for you. And once after this brief introduction, then we'll go I will go and see a simple API, how exactly it looks like. We will test a simple API manually first, and then inside Tosca, and then we'll convert that into automation. These are the steps that we follow. So API. So consider that a client is coming to you as and they're saying, okay, develop this application for us. Okay, the development team will have to write the code for this. So the development team has to write the programming, has to do programming. So if you consider a project, right? A project will have three parts. Firstly, this is front end and this is back end. Now this back end is nothing but this is the place where the developers actually write the code, original functionality code of your application. So if the application is a banking application, all the functionality related to banking will be written inside this backend using the programming. So now generally what are the programming languages that will be used here are like Java, Python, or using .NET, they will develop it. The backend application, the backend code. Now this particular code or programming will be loaded into a server. So now when this application is, when this program is loaded, when this code base, we call it as code base, is loaded into the server, it is ready to answer anything that you give. It is ready to process the data. It is ready to perform the transactions or the functionalities. So now, but I can't go to a server directly and I can't do things directly. See, I am a user. Okay, the developers has developed it and put that code in the backend point of view in the server, but I can't use it directly. So what developers will do is like, okay, so for customers, let us create a front end screen. So this front end screen is a simple web application, or it can be a simple app, mobile app, or it can be anything that a user uses from the front end point of view. So now if the developers will create this particular front end application using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So there are many other things, but predominantly these things. So these are the things that will be used to create the front end screen. Now this front end application will be given to the general public, to the users. So now if you observe this demo web shop application, whatever I'm seeing here, all these options, register, login, shopping cart, books, and all these options are actually the front end application. This is a front end application. I'm a user of this demo web shop. I'm not the owner of it, or I'm not the programmer of it, right? I'm a user. So I open this demo web shop. I wanted to perform some transactions inside this. So I'm using this application. But this is only front end. Now what I do? So when I click on this register button, now the register page is opening here. So from the front end user point of view, what I'll do, like I'll fill up all this necessary information. I click on this register. So when I click on this register, this data will be pushed into the backend. This data will be, this is the front end. This is where I'm giving my input. Now this data will be pushed into the backend, and backend will process that data. And if everything is correct, then the register programming here that is present inside this backend will say that yes, all details are correct. Your registration is successful. So the server will respond back. So the front end is the user perspective, and the backend is from the programming perspective. So this is the application and this is the programming. Now let us come back to this. Application is the front end and programming is the back end. But what is this interface? So now, just now, as I told you, when I fill all this information and when I click on register, this data need to be sent to the server, that is the backend. But who will send that? Who will send that? This front end application is sending some data to this backend. Backend is processing that and sending back whether it is successful or not successful. It is giving back the response. So who will do all this work? Now that is where our API will come into the picture. This is where our API comes into the picture. So API will take the request from the application, will send it to the backend server, and server will process the backend code along with the server, along with the database. This will be integrated all together with every single aspect of your project application. So it will be connected to the database or other applications, whatever it is. It will process that request and it will respond back, whether it is a positive response or negative response. So API stands in between your front end and back end, and it interfaces between your front end and back end along with your request and response. It'll take the request and it'll get the response. So API stands in between. So simply, if you open any application, it doesn't have to be a front end application here like this. Now I open a simple Google. Okay. Now here, if I type weather in Delhi, when I press enter, so now this is the data I'm giving it to the in the front end. This is a front end application, so I'm giving the information to the front end. Now there will be an API sitting behind this search engine. Whatever data that I'm typing in here, it will take that information, it will hit the server, and the server will retrieve the data, live data across all the platforms or from the databases or official channels. It will get that information and it will send that back to the front end application using an API response. API will bring that back response back. Now it will be the API will get the data and will be given to this front end application. But again, that this front end application need to beautify the data into presentable format, and it will present it to me in the front end. You see, this is not how the API will bring the data. API will simply bring only the data, but the application, the front end application, whatever I am seeing, it is converting the data into a presentable format and it is showing it to me. So APIs are everywhere. In the current world, like APIs does most of the work. Like there are lots of APIs that will be working for each and every application. So if you take demo of shop, like registration, one API will be there, shopping cart, one API will be there, login, one API, orders, one API, and product search is one API. So everything is a different APIs that works. So we have talked about a basic and explanation about an API, how where exactly this API works and how it works. So now what are the different types of APIs? We'll talk about that. There are predominantly two types. One is SOAP and the other one is REST. These are all the two APIs we have. Now, SOAP is the initial APIs that people used to use from so many years. But from past 15 to 20 years, REST services have got more fame. I'm not going too deep into this introduction here, only higher level I'm talking about here. So now the SOAP is an old model of request and REST is the latest ones. And many of the projects are converting their previously created SOAP requests into REST APIs now, because REST has more advantages of it. It's faster and also it has different method types. Don't worry about all this, what is method and all those things. We will see that in the example. So, but it has lots of good information. and it is sophisticated compared to SOAP. So the people are converting towards this REST, and all the new work is being developed in REST services itself. So now this is a basic explanation. We will take a small example inside this SOAP and also inside this REST, and we will see how exactly this API looks like and also how do we test it. Okay, we have seen what is an API. Now let us understand and see an example of an API. So we will talk about REST API or SOAP API. What is the format first of all? An API will have two things. First of all, request and a response. We have already discussed about it. Okay, so request is the one where we pass some data, or it doesn't have to be data, a query or some information is needed. So we pass that information to the request and it will hit the server, and server will give you the response, and that will be given back to the user. So now if you dig deep into this, if you take a request here, API request, what details it will have? It will have predominantly three things. URL is one thing, and method is one thing, and body is one thing, and maybe I'll say like authorization, auth. Okay, see, like, very important point for an API, authorization is really important. What is authorization? Like, see, because it is a mediator between the front end and the back end, right? It is an interface. It will be carrying some sensitive information. Example, if you're giving your login information, username and password, that's your that's your sensitive information or banking information. All this information API will be carrying and hitting the server, and server will respond, or the backend program will respond to that particular request. So it is carrying some data. So all this uh, uh, people who are trying to steal the information, right? Like all these security vulnerabilities that will be injected into the application interfaces. All these people, hackers, they will be trying to steal the information from the API. So there is a high chance that they can hack the API if they know the URL and the method, or a simple body parameters. They can easily steal that information. So authorization is really important. So either you have different types of authorizations. I'm not going to go deep into that. Different types of authorizations, like you can give bearer token or user ID and password, or a key store, or a signature, or a certificate, client certificate. There are different methods, but I'm not going to go too deep, and in this example we'll take a simple one only. Okay, that is about auth. But what is this URL? So your API, who will develop this API? First of all, we have seen some time back that this front end developer will be developing it, the back end developer will be developing it, but who will be developing this API? Even this API also, your developers only will develop it. So in your projects, you can ask your developers, okay, what are our APIs? Give me some information about the APIs, like what are the different functionality APIs we have, and what are their sample requests and URLs. All this information you have to ask your developer only. So what they will do is, like, if they have the information in a document, they will share you the document. Or sometimes there is a tool called Swagger. So this Swagger, it's a documentation UI where your developers can fill it up with all the necessary information about your application APIs and give it to you. Example, now this is a Swagger UI where a pet store information. Example, consider that there is a web application called Pet Store. Okay, it is the application where you can buy or sell a pet. Okay, or else request information, or else you want to send an inquiry. You have lots of different functionalities of this particular pet store application. But I'm not talking about any web application here. The same functionality for this pet store, there will be APIs, right? Like, you see, these are all the different APIs that we have. We have upload image for this pet. We have add a pet, add a new pet to the store, update an existing pet, and get some information based upon the status and based upon the ID. Based upon the pet ID, you update some information, delete a pet. And also this particular application, you will have store information also. You see, like, you can store some data here, from this store point of view, where it is present, what is our order status, And also user information. This application will have some users also, right? Like user information. So first of all, if you want to access this particular pet store, you want to be registered to this. So how do you do this? You create a user. You see, you create a user, you log in with this user, you log out with this user. You want to get the status of this or details of this user. So these are all the different APIs that will be supported for pet store application, web application, or mobile application, whatever it is. So these are all the APIs. Similarly, in your projects, if you have an application, a banking application, go to your developer and ask like, okay, what are the different APIs that are present in our application? Ask your developer. They can give you a document or they can give you this Swagger UI to you, which will have all the informations. Now, just now I was telling you, API will have request and response, right? Your Swagger will give you very clear picture of what is this request and response, what is this URL, what is this method, and what is this sample body, what is the expected response, and all these things you can get it from the Swagger itself. So observe this. Now let me take a simple one here. Let us create user. You see user information for this pet store. If I click on this, so first of all, what is the method here? Now, different methods are there. The methods examples are post method, put method, get method, delete method, patch method. So there are different methods here. Everything will have a meaning. Post implies a new entry will be made. Put implies to update something. I mean, delete implies delete. Get implies you want to get some information. So example in you want to know what are the different pets that are available. You simply click on pets information, right? Like you click on that pets, you'll get that all the information of the pets, right? That is what is the get. So simply understand this. So I'm opening this demo web shop application here. When I open this demo web shop, when I click on this books, what is the meaning of this? So I'm asking the front end user interface here, I want all the books. So an API will be running behind with the information that okay, all the books information is needed. So the request will be gone to the backend, and backend will respond back. Okay, these are all the books that are present in the inventory. It will list down all the books that are present in the inventory. Yeah, you see. So get request is going there. Similarly, here put post request is to post a new entry inside that. Okay. Now this is for creating user. This will have very clear information. As of now, this is a dummy. This is a general publicly available APIs. That's the reason you might not get information, or sometimes this might not even work also. But still, if it is the original your own application from your projects, you will have very detailed information. What is exactly this particular API does? And this is the body. You see that this is a sample body area, request body. Now what is this request body has? It has username, it has first name, last name, email address, password, phone number, and then what is the status here? Like what is this body request is type here? It is a JSON. There are different types available: XML format, HTML format, JSON format. So now our developer has created this pet store application using this. So click on if you want to try it out. Okay, so for this example, what is the method here? Post method. And what is the body here? This is the body, and auth is not there. Just now I told you. But what is this URL? Don't worry. If you scroll down, you will get when you click on this try out here. Click on try it out. You can actually try how exactly this API request will work and response will work. Okay. So now let me give it up some details here. Ravi 123. Let me say that that's the username. Okay. So Ravi 123 and first name would be Ravi, and last name would be example like Kumar, and email would be ravi123 at the rate of gmail.com. These are all some dummy data. Okay. This is not an original API. So, but just to show you how exactly it looks like. Password at the rate of 123, and what is the phone number? 123456789 and I don't have to update ID and user status. Automatically it will be coming. So simply I come here and I click on execute. Now I'm sending a request. This request will be sent to the server, and server will process that request and will give a response to me. So how exactly the response will look like? You see here, this is the response body. So what details will be present inside the response? Response will have response body, status code, and also response time, how much time it took to respond. So these are all so response. Yes. Okay, response time. So these are all the things that will be present in the input, and these are all the things that are present in the output. Now I have got the output here. You see, what is this code here? 200. So status codes will be a three-digit number. It'll have 100 series, 200 series, 200, 200, 201, 202, 203, 300 series, 301, 302, 303, 400 series, 401, 402, 403. So you would have observed these type of errors inside your application. When you open an application, sometimes you would have got like 404 not 404 not found. So which means API is not getting the response from the server. It will show you I cannot find it, or service not available, or 500 internal server error. So there are different types of status codes available. 200 means it is successful. Okay, so 200, and this is the response body. This is a dummy body, but anyway, message type and code. In reality, if you are applying a register API here, right, like when you post all this information, the response would be code is equal to 200, message is equal to registration successful, and then user ID is equal to your username. So few more details, or time and date, all those things also. It all depends upon what is the requirement. Your developer would develop this based upon the requirement. Now this is the response. So now this is the code, and this is the response body. But when I execute in the actual application, I'll get the response time also. But here you observe that there is something called request URL. Now this is the URL that I have to apply for, uh, that has been sent in the request. So to work with an API, I require these things. So ask your developer in your project, if you want to work, ask your developer, okay, what are the different APIs we have? And for that, what is the for each API, we need request and response. So these are all the details we want. If they have Swagger, well and good. If they don't have Swagger, then ask all these informations. They should share it to you. Only then you can work. You need to know the response also, sample response body. Now by seeing this, I get to understand that okay, this is how my response should look like. Okay, so we have seen how an API will be executed. I mean, what can we expect inside an API? But let's do, at the end of the day, our concentration is from Tosca. There are different tools that are available in the market, like SOAP UI tool, Postman tool, and Tosca, and then Restage, JMeter. There are different tools that are available in the market to do this API testing and all. But let's concentrate from Tosca point of view. So now inside Tosca, now you see like this is my Tosca here. So I go to this particular API testing here. Okay, and then inside this API testing, let us you see API scan is there. When I click on this API scan, a separate scan window will appear here for me. Okay, so just wait for it. You see, start the API scan. A separate window will appear. So that window, API scan window, is for manual API testing. First of all, let us see how the API testing will be done manually. Okay, so how exactly testing will be done, and how exactly we create the details here. You see, this is how a separate Tricentis API Tosca API scan new project has come. There are two things here. Like first of all, I have to load this project. You want me to load it as a file or an API? Sometimes what happens is developer will give you the package to you, the WSDL package to you. So you can load it using the directly the WS package from the your C drive. But now in our case, no, you can go to URI only. So how do I get my URI? This is URL. Okay, there is a difference between URL and URI. So now this at the top, you see, this is a base URL. So now copy this particular petstore.swagger iov v2 swagger.json. So copy this link address and come back here and select this new message and click on this URI and then paste it here and then click on OK. There it is. So when I do that, I will get the Swagger Pet Store complete details for me. See, I can create individual message also. So I can individually create each and everything, whatever I see here, each and every API, whatever I see here, I can develop that individually here, click on this message and develop that message, but I don't have to do that. The best part here is like I can load it as a simple collection here. This feature is present in other tools also, but just saying, you see, Swagger pet store has been loaded here. It has pet, store, and user, but I'm working on user, right? So expand this user. It has username, create with array, create with list, login and logout. But if you see the first option, if you expand this, it has post create user. Now that is what I have worked with. If you observe, like, that is what I have worked with, create user, you see, create user. So now click on this create user. A message is coming here. Click on this message. Automatically the request and the response will not be there, but the request is sample request, sample body request will be shown here. But just some time back, I've told you a request, API request will have few things here. What are those things? URL, method, body, and auth. What is this URL? Now you see endpoint and resource combined together is nothing but your URL. Endpoint petstore.swagger.io/v2/user. So this is our URL. Now if you go to our swagger.com, Swagger UI, here also you can specify. You see request URL. This is the URL. So the endpoint and the resource combined together is nothing but URL. And what is the method here? Post method. You see, these are all the different methods that we have. But most predominantly used are post and get. Generally, post is to post some information, get is to get some information from the server. Okay, but this is a post request because we are creating a new user, and this is the sample request. We have got username, first name, and all these things. Let us fill this with this. So this time, let us give it as Raju123, and then first name. It's like let's keep it as Raju, and last name as let's give it as Raju Khan, and email it as like raju123@gmail.com. Just a simple dummy details, all these things. Password would be password@123, and phone number would be 12345678990. Okay, so don't mind about the ID and user status, it will be automatically completed. But you see, like, there are few more things here. Like, we have got parameters here, we have got auth here. Sometime back I've told you, like, these are all the different types of auths, but these are all dummy APIs that example point of I'm showing, so we don't require any of this auth. So let us continue this way. I might be doing a new series on API testing using Postman. Maybe we'll talk a bit more in that particular examples. So now we'll continue with this. So this is how I've created a request here. So you see, I'm currently in the request. I'm creating the request. Now, if I click on this run, I'll get the response here. As of now, response is not there. So I'm doing positive testing here. Now you see, this is a positive test case. I'm passing positive information here, and when I'm clicking on this run, so this request will be passed to the server, and server will respond back. You see, the status code is 200, type is equal to unknown, and message is equal to 1. So because I have passed the message as 1. Now what is the status code here? 200, okay. And what is the response time here? 730 milliseconds, which is less than 1 second. This is the beauty of it. So I have the API here. with without without the front end screen itself, I can start testing here. So this is the advantage of API testing. In projects, if your developer said, like, okay, my backend is ready, yeah, my backend is ready, but my front end is not ready. So as a testers, do we have to sit? Simply not necessary. You ask the developers, okay, you have the API with you? Yes, the API is ready. So in that case, give the API details. I will pass some dummy data into the API, both positive and negative, and I'll start testing the functionality if it is working fine or not. So here, observe this, I'm passing some valid input here. So I'm getting valid response here. So now I'm going to copy this and observe this. So duplicate this, I'll say. Now I'm going to rename this as create user, post create user, negative case. Okay, so what is this negative? I pass some negative input here and I expect a negative response. So what is the negative input? So I mean, if the API has been created correctly, if I pass negative input, it should not accept it. So example, I give ID value here, it has some junk value here, and some these values also. And also I will give the formatting, or maybe I'll do one thing. I will give the ID value as normal, but I will give the format wrongly. So here you see the email address, I will not give the double quotes at the end, you see. So, I mean, when I don't pass double quote, the request is wrong here. See, the password is not highlighted here, so the system, the API is understanding that email is continuing from here till here. So it is not accepting anything. So let me pass this. Let's see how it works. So you see, SSL connection could not, it cannot even run this. Okay. So now this is one way, and also that is expected. I'm passing some invalid data. The API should not accept that. It should throw an error. Okay, so now that is one aspect, and we'll be talking about some negative values also. Example, I'm passing here some special characters. Okay, let me see if it works or not. In reality it should not work. You see, when I pass an invalid ID here, the server is answering to you that, boss, you passed me some wrong input. I can't access it. So the server is responding to you 4 not 400 bad input. So the status code is 400 bad request. Now this test case is pass because this is a negative test case. I am passing invalid value and I'm expecting invalid output here. Okay, so this is how I can test. I can identify every single possible test case data combination here. I can give it to my API. So here, ID value I can use. So example, if your user is saying, if the developer has developed it as the password should be a combination of characters, numbers, and special characters only, then it should accept. If I give only characters here, if I run, it will say like password not matching to the respect to rules. It might not say now because this is a dummy API, but in reality in projects you will get it. If you pass only numbers also, it will throw that way. So example, if I pass an email address without @gmail.com, it should throw an error. Practically it should throw an error. It might not throw now because this is a dummy API. Let us see. Yeah, it is accepting here. You see, but in projects, when you give some invalid email address here without @Gmail, the format and all is not matching, it will throw an error. Okay, that is, if it is not throwing an error, raise a bug to your developer. Okay, so this is how it works, and this is how we do it. We perform positive testing and also all the types of negative testings using this API. More importantly, we'll be getting this response time in your front end application UI point of view. We really can't get the response time accurately uh, because it'll have many UI related, infrastructure related timing also will be added into your execution. So, but this I can, my API testing will be very fast, accurate, and I can test hundreds of combinations very fastly. 1 second or less than a second, it is itself is executing one test case. So for 1 minute, I'll execute two test cases. Think of it, for for 1 second, I can execute two test cases. So for 1 minute, I'll execute somewhere around 100 to 120 test cases. So within 2 to 3 minutes, you will complete your project of 300 or 400 test cases in API, which is very tough to do in your front-end UI application. So API testing is such an important aspect in the current market. Okay, so now we have seen how the manual testing works in Tosca, manual API testing works in Tosca. But we will see how APA works from automation point of view. Okay, how API testing works automation point of view. Now this is a REST API, right? Okay, there is a SOAP API also. I will show you an example before firstly, and then we'll go to the automation testing. So there is something called calculator. So if I have a calculator application with me, then I can do this application 5 plus 2 is equal to, I'm getting 7. So consider that I don't, I mean, I can do complex calculations also, but just this that I'm saying, I'm taking only simple example here. Consider I don't have this calculator with me, but still, if I want to do some calculations, how do I do? If I have the API with me, API of the calculator, I can still do it. So think of it, there is an URL for API. I will be adding this Swagger URL and also this calculator URL inside the description of this video. You can go and you can observe that. So now you click on this URI. So there is this calculator API. This is the URI, or calculator URI. Now click on this OK. That's okay. Let us try one more time. So now you see. It is loaded and calculator SOAP requests have come into the picture. So one of the biggest difference between REST API and SOAP API is that REST API will have multiple methods, post method, get method, and also multiple request types, JSON, XML, HTML, whereas here in the SOAP APIs, right, you will have only one method, that is post method, and also one body format, that is XML format. Okay, so you click on this. Now this is the XML format, you see, XML format, but rest all is same. You have the URI here, and also you have the method here, and also the payload, which is nothing but the body, request body. So now we are in the request here. Now let me pass some information here. Now we have got two variables here. You see A and int A and int B. So I can give some, I have bigger numbers here, but let me give simple numbers here, 5 and 2, and click on this run. When I click on this run, you will get the response here. Now what is the response here? API response 7, you see that? And also status code is 200 and the response time is less than a second, 760 seconds. The industry standard for this response time would be generally less than 2 seconds, less than or equal to 2 to 3 seconds, not more than that. But industry is standard, that is the industry standard. So your API response should be less than 2 seconds, but generally developers will aim for less than 1 second. So this is a SOAP request, but this is how, like, this is a positive testing. I'll give some negative testing. If I give some characters here, I'm expecting some negative responses. So we'll see all that in the regular API testing point of view. But now we have seen manually how to perform API testing. Now let's convert this API testing from manual to automation point of view. So you see, automation is nothing but our Tosca commander. Okay, this is API scan window where I'm doing manual testing, but automation is our Tosca commander. So now the API, whatever I have created here, I have to push this API from here to our commander to make it as automation. So very simple. So let us handle this calculator API. So click on this add here, and then can you see API test case here? You click on this drop down API test case, and can you see an option called export here? You click on this export here. Now the test case, the API manual test case will be pushed into Tosca commander with the separate folder structure here called API scan import. You'll get it as API scan import here. So now here you'll have modules and test cases. Now an automation test case is all about modules and test cases, right? Modules and test steps, right? So we have got API request, add API add request and add response here, and the same modules were automatically dragged and dropped into this test case, add test case. But tell me one thing, like if you observe this add request and add response, it does not have any of the steps or any variables here. See, you can't find any variables here. Here in the modules also, if you click on this add request and add response, in the details page, you don't have anything here. Observe the difference of this API module and the regular module. If I go to the regular module, if I expand this demo of shop example login credentials, you see that the it this particular module has only two tabs here or options here, details tab and self-healing properties. Details tab has the module has objects here. But now go to this API scan import. Now the module that was created here, details tab, I don't have any module attributes here, object attributes here. But let us develop it. Okay, we have to develop this. A simple, it was imported, but we have to develop it. But there is an extra tab here called technical view. You see, you click on this add request here in the modules. Now let's not do anything in the test case. Let's build the modules first. Okay, this is the module. You go to the technical view here. So you have got this is the exact screen of what you see in the API scan window also. You see, this is the API scan window. This is the exact technical. This is the view, request view and response view, right? The same. You go to this commander, you will have this technical view. You have this endpoints, method, and body. So now let us build it. Okay, so how do we build it? So observe this. How am I doing? You click on this module add request. Instead of this details tab, go to the technical view. In this, what are the details that I want to pass as an input? My input will be this A value and B value. That is what is, this is the calculator API. So I want to do pass A and B. If I have exported my pet store here, my example, pet store example here, and the user example, what details I have to be passing there? I have to be passing username, first name, last name, email, pass, all this information I have to pass. So that is the data. But for this calculator example, this A and this B is the data. So now very simple, observe this, select this using this mouse, or you simply select this. Okay, I've selected this int A. At the home page, don't go to the home, go to this API testing. Now you see there is an add plus symbol here. I click on this plus symbol. This int A will be added as a variable inside this add request. You see. Now I click on add request, go to the details tab, expand it. You will have an object here called int A. Okay. Similar to our modules, right? I'll get a variable here inside this, an object here int A. But it's not about only A. I want B also. How do we do? Same method. You click on this, add this int B, and click on this plus symbol. It will be added. So my request is ready. This is my request. So value range, it is obviously taking 512 because the example values are 512 here. That does not mean that you can use only 512. You can use any values inside your test cases. That's a different part. Now come to this add response. If you click on this add response, you go to this technical view. What is the response that I'm looking for here? So if you remember, what is the response that what I'm expecting here? My response body, status code, and response time. So come here. Now this is in this response body. What is that I want to verify? This result. So click on this, select this result, and click on this plus result. Add result will be added. But it's not about only this add result. I want the status code and also response time. So what do? I simply click on this and plus status code is added. Now click on this response time and click on this plus response time. You can add anything inside this. Here also in the request also, you don't have to add only these details. If there are any parameters, you can add it. If you want to add this endpoint and resource and method also, you can add it. But I don't want to do it because those are all standard details for me for this API. So my requests are built here. You see, both my add request and also my modules are built. Both my add request and also response, add response. These are all built. As these modules have got these objects, right? Now, if you click on this test case, automatically your test case also will have those objects here. Now, it's like our normal test case. So what do? I give the data here. What is the value of int A? Example, I want to give it as 15 here. Action mode, it's not insert, it is input only. 15, and here int b value it is 10, so here also input. So I am passing 15 and 10 here. Example, you click on this add here. I'm passing 15 and 10, and I'm clicking on run. When I click on run, what is the response that I am expecting here? What is the response that I'm expecting if I pass 15 and 10? I'm expecting 25. So that is what you have to give it here. What is the result that you are expecting here? This is expected response values. Okay. So 25 is the response that you are expecting, and action mode is verify. Many people will ask me a question. So, but why do I have to write this 25 here? The API itself will give that, right? Understand the concept of expected result and actual result. This is automation. This is automation. So when you are passing this input here 5 and 2, in your mind you know the answer 7. So when you see this response 7, this is given by the API, then you are validating manually. Okay, I'm expecting 7. This is actual value 7. So both are same. Similarly, you want to tell the automation tool, boss, you expect 25 for this response. The server should give a response of 25. You verify if it is 25 or not. So when you run this test case, right, this data will be sent as an input to the server. Server will give you the actual value 25. So now your response, you are expecting 25. If both are matching, then the test case will pass. If you are expecting somewhere around 30 here, but the response is 25, the test case will fail. So we have to give these responses on our own. Now, similarly, what is the status code value I can give? So it is 200. Okay, these are all expected results. What is the response time? Now this is interesting. Now this need to be given based upon your requirement. Actually, your client and your developer should tell you what is response time. But this less than or equal to 760, right? This is appearing because my module My module response has happened within 760 seconds. That's the reason my test case is picking up that value. You don't have to give the exact value. So now what I do here, click on this and steer property. So let me give this, let me select this, okay. And then I'll steer this property. It's not 760, it is 1 second. Example, less than 1 second, verified. So now my test case is ready. I'm giving the data here and I'm expecting this data. I want the automation to do the verification for me, not me. So right click on this and run in Scratchbook. You cannot see any mouse movement or anything here. It's simply from the background only. All the things will be happening from the background. You see there is the execution that has happened here, and we have got the Scratchbook execution tab here. Now if you expand this, you have passed the input here. Okay, okay, and add response. You see verification is successful. You are expecting 25 and actual value is also 25. Similarly, you are expecting 200, okay, and actual value is also 200, okay. You are expecting here 200 less than 1 second, it is actually 694 milliseconds. They are good. So this is a positive test case. You wanted to do negative test case, so add positive. Okay, so let us see manually, let us understand first manually how the negative test case works. Okay, so let us minimize this and go back to this. So if I pass some variable here, example, instead of 5 I pass a variable here, example like some text here. Okay, not numbers, some text. Now if I click on run, what is the response that I'm getting? Status code should be 500, internal server error, and this is the error message. You see that? And response time should still be less than 1 second. So this is what I want to do here also. So let me copy this test case and paste it here, and may rename it as a negative test case here. Negative test case, expand it. So here is a request here. So a value I want, instead of some numbers, right, I am passing some text. So what is the response that you are looking for? This is add result. This is not what it will come. What should be the status code? 500 internal server error. You see that? So scroll down, 500. These are all the different status codes. 500 internal server error you are expecting, and also, yeah, and also the response time should be less than 1000. So let me execute this. This test case should be pass because I'm expecting 500 internal server error. So you see, it is pass. I'm not sure if it is visible. Yeah, it is pass. You see, you're passing this value, but now you are expecting the verification. The status code should be 500, and actual value is also 500 server, 500 server internal server error. And what is the verification here? Actual value is less than 1 second, which is 469 seconds. So this is how we do positive testing and negative testing inside this API. But this, let me tell you, you'll add up lots of negative test cases, different negative test cases you'll add it. Um, but now let me tell you, like, this is a simplest of test case here. This is the simplest of test case. The reason why I call it as the simplest of test case is I am giving my own data here, and I'm giving my own data here as an expected response. This is only partial automation, I'll say. This will not work for the framework. So how do we convert this into a bigger framework? Like example, if I have 100 values of A in an Excel sheet and 100 values of B in an Excel sheet. So my requirement is read the first record from Excel A, first record from A of A, and first record from of B. Add those values and see if the response is coming correctly, or else get this response and store it in the Excel sheet. Get the second record of A, second record of B, and do the API, pass the API of the addition API and get the response. So I wanted to repeat this for 100 times because I have 100 values. So how do we do this? I will create a framework. I'll create an Excel sheet with all these values, and then open those Excel sheets. First of all, read this, create a loop, and then apply a condition, and then read that values, perform this action, and then write the values, save it, close it. So that's a big framework. We will see that in our next video. So this is how an automation of API can be started in our Tosca. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so that you will never miss our next concept. Also, if you have any questions, please comment in the video or mail us at technologytrainingexperts@gmail.com. See you in the next video.